Hello, and welcome to another edition of eLumen. What am I doing? This video is designed for faculty to show them how to input their SLO assessment results into the eLumen system. First, you'll need to navigate to the sccollege.edu homepage. From there, hover over Faculty and Staff and click the eLumen login link. This will open a new tab in your browser. You'll need to input your username and password. This will be your web advisor or colleague ID, typically your first and last initial followed by 5 digits, and your password. Click Login. And this will take you directly to the landing page of eLumen. Now I'm going to switch over to our test site where I have things set up for demonstration purposes. First, what you want to do is make sure you have the appropriate role selected if you happen to have more than just the faculty role. So I'm going to switch this drop-down menu to faculty. And next, you'll want to make sure you have the appropriate discipline in the entity drop-down. I'm going to switch mine to philosophy. Once I make those adjustments, I'll arrive on my course landing page, and this will show all of the courses that you were assigned for the semester listed up here in this drop-down. So how do we enter assessment results? For fall 2020, it appears as though I have taught 4 sections. 2 sections of Philosophy 110 and 2 sections of Philosophy 111. For each section, I'll need to enter in assessment results. Now, there are 2 ways that an assessment can be built in eLumen. The first is collective scoring, where you enter in how many students met the SLO, how many students did not meet the SLO, and then how many students were not assessed. The other option is student level assessment, whereby you'll enter in results for each individual student. I'll show you both of those examples. I'm going to click on under the scorecards column in the first table related to the first section I want to report assessment results for. When I click on the Score Students Collectively button, it will take me to the input page. And I have 6 cells in total. Each row indicates the individual student learning outcome, and each of the cells are related to how many students met expectations, did not meet expectations, and how many were not assessed at all. So it appears as though I have 28 students on the roster. So I'm going to say there were 20 students that met expectations, 5 students that did not meet expectations, and 3 students that were not assessed. And for SLO1 and for SLO2, let's change things up a little bit. Let's say there were 6, which leaves me with 0 students that were not assessed. Once I've entered in each of these values, I click Save, and it takes me back to the course landing page. Now you'll see this green checkbox, which lets me know I've already entered in assessment results for section 84555, and now I can move on to the next. The next is set up very similarly. It is the collective score. I'll click the button just to show you what I mean. It's the very same, except now it's for this section, and this row is for SLO1, this row is for SLO2, and I would enter in the results. Once I'm done, I click Save, and I'm done with that section. Okay. So what does it look like when we are doing the student level assessment? You'll see that the icons under the scorecards column in this table are slightly different. And if I hover over either, you'll see the descriptor for each option. Either score students on the scorecard view or score students on a rubric view. If I click score students on a scorecard view, it will pull up the roster for my course, and I simply click on the cell that corresponds with the appropriate value. So there are 2 students in this particular course, and I'm going to say one student met SLO 1 and did not meet SLO 2, and the other student also met SLO 1 and met SLO 2. And now I can click save and move forward. Now you can see I have a green checkbox here, which shows me that I've already entered in the assessment results for section 84577. I'm going to move on to the other section of Philosophy 111 to show what it looks like when I click on the score students on rubric view. And we can see it shows each student enrolled in the course. And very similarly, I'll check the box that corresponds with the student's performance on the SLO assessment. So for the first student, I'll check meets expectation for both. If I go to the next student, I can select meet expectations for both. Let's say the next student met SLO 1 but did not meet SLO 2. The next student, maybe they weren't present on the day that the assessment was administered for both SLOs, so I would say NA. Other reasons why you might select NA is if a student is on the roster in your system, but they had dropped the course, and so they did not participate in the assessment for whatever reason. Either they're not enrolled in the course, or they weren't present or participating on that particular day. Once I'm done, I click Save and Next, and it'll take me to the next, and I could keep doing that. If you ever wanted to get to the other view, you could go to the Actions button and select Scorecard View rather than Rubric View, and you can see all of your entries on previous students exist here. I'm just going to go ahead and click through on all of these just to get through to the next screen. Select Save. I want to go to my courses. And now you can see that I've completed the assessment reporting for section 93633. One other thing worth mentioning is these are all of the courses that I've been assigned for fall 2020. It's possible that the department chair may have deployed this assessment to multiple terms, including prior terms. So it's good practice just to check prior terms to see if there are outstanding assessments for which you'll need to enter assessment results. I'm going to click Spring 2020. And yes, there is one section here that I taught Spring 2020, section 76828, and I'll complete the assessment just like I did, but for spring instead of the fall semester. If you have any questions or concerns, or if you are curious about why a particular assessment is either student level or collective, please feel free to reach out to me at Volker_Aaron@sccollege.edu. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. Of course, you can always reach out to your department chair or your division dean to ask questions about the outcomes assessment process. I hope this video is informative. Again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.